Hi there everyone, it's Jen Arkveld, and today I've got a really fun technique that I've wanted to share with you for a while, and I'm finally getting around to getting this video filmed. So, this is a watercolor technique, and it's a little bit different than what maybe you've seen before. But what I'm starting here with is a piece of 4 by 4.5 inch watercolor paper, and I'm going to use a butterfly that I have gone ahead and die cut. So this is from the Butterfly Thinlits, and it's the smaller one. I'm just going to lay this on here. I die cut this from a piece of our craft cardstock that comes 12 by 12. And what I'm going to do is use some Versamark and a sponge dauber. Now, I had somewhere in my stash a sponge dauber dedicated to Versamark, and I could not find it, and in fact I could not find any sponge daubers that were not dirty in my stash. So I am making do here today, and we're just going to make this work. Anyway, all I'm doing is I'm going over this butterfly with the Versamark ink, and I am going beyond the edge of the die. So I am bringing it out past the end of the butterfly so that I've got Versamark on the outside of the butterfly die. Okay, and you want to be fairly generous with this. Go ahead and I'm smushing my Versamark onto the butterfly die and wanting to get the Versamark really good into the watercolor paper. Okay, so I'm giving it a twist and a turn, and using a lot of Versamark ink here. Oops, there, I just moved it. But I think I lined it back up pretty good. I will say I'm going to tout Stampin' Up! Sponge daubers, because this was a homemade sponge dauber. And while it's fine and dandy, the Stampin' Up! Ones are much more comfortable to use. Okay, so I have that done. I'm going to remove the die cut. And now, and I don't think you guys will be, oh, maybe you can see that, okay. You can kind of see the outline in the Versamark of the butterfly. And what I'm going to do now is bring in some clear embossing powder, and we're going to sprinkle this on generously. And I want to give that good and covered. Oh, good. And you guys can see this, so I want you to be able to see this. Do you see how the embossing powder stands out beyond the butterfly image? It goes quite a bit back beyond there, and in some cases it's too far. So what I do there is I've got this little brush, and it's just a makeup brush. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove some of that ink from out around the edge of the butterfly, but I want to keep a border there. Otherwise you're not going to really understand what this is once you go to heat emboss this. Okay, so, whoopsie. So you can see I'm doing that, and you end up with some, I'm going to call them crumbs of embossing powder. I'm okay with that because it does leave a cool technique in the end, or a cool, I don't know, it's not really a technique, but it leaves a cool effect. There we go. There's the word I'm looking for. Okay, so I'm just brushing away the excess embossing powder, and we'll give it a good thunk there. Hopefully you guys can see what's going on in the video. Alright, I've got most of that removed, and I'm not sure how well you guys can see that, but there are little flecks of embossing powder out around the edge, and I'm okay with that because I like how it ends up looking in the end, but I will remove just a little bit more. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and heat emboss this, and one of the tricks that I'm finding with heat embossing, if you don't want your paper to warp, go ahead and let your heat gun warm up for quite a bit before you take it to the paper, and I let it warm up about 30 seconds. So let's give this a good heat embossing. Okay, so I've got that pretty good, and while I was heat embossing, I do see right in, let's see if I can get it for you, right in this area here, I had a little tear in my butterfly die. Let's see here. My die had a little rip in it. So the embossing powder got where I didn't want it, and it probably happened also when I kind of shifted my die cut piece. But you know what? That's okay. What we're doing here, it's going to look so cool in the end, it's not going to matter. And besides the fact that every butterfly is a little bit different, so we're good. Alright, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use 3 different colors of ink. We're using Daffodil Delight, Strawberry Slush, and Coastal Cabana, and an aqua painter. And I'm going to go ahead and take my aqua painter and give it a little squeeze and rub it over the entire surface of this watercolor paper and get it good and wet. Okay. And we'll dry up our surface just a little bit. And now I'm going to squeeze my ink pads, and we're going to use ink there to do this. I'm going to start with my lightest color, which is the Daffodil Delight, and I'm just going to go ahead and drop some color in. And because my paper is already wet, this is going to start to run really, really well. And cover quite a bit of surface. And where I want my color more vibrant, I use fresh ink out of the pool that it's given me there. And I might go ahead and twist and turn my paper a little bit, because you'll see that it'll start to run on its own. Okay, and then I'm going to clean off my aqua painter. And you know what? I clean my aqua painter off right on my stamp cleaning mat. I find that works the best, and then you can always test it on, like here I've got just a piece of paper towel. Okay, so now I'm going to start in with the Strawberry Slush, and I know that I want the majority of the butterfly to be that bright pinkish color, but I'm going to go ahead and pull it out beyond the edge also. I've picked 3 colors here that when they are combined, they don't really turn to mud colors. I like how the Daffodil Delight and the Strawberry Slush turn to an orangish color, and the Strawberry Slush and the Coastal Cabana turn into kind of a purplish color. Okay, so I'm just kind of twisting this again, trying to get these colors to move into each other a little bit. Alright, again I'm going to go ahead and clean off my aqua painter on my stamp cleaning mat and test it, and I see that it's clean. Now we're going to bring in that Coastal Cabana color where I don't have any ink yet. And again, when it hits that Strawberry Slush, it kind of turns purple, but when it hits the yellow, it turns into a really cool green. So I'm going to add some ink in here. And you can kind of play with this a bit and get those, colors to move. Sometimes I will tape this down to a board or something, but sometimes it works just as good to hold it in my hand and kind of make those colors run. Okay, so I see I need some colors to run over here a little bit, and I'm going to go back and grab that Strawberry Slush and hit it, and I'm actually squeezing my aqua painter just to get some more water through the aqua painter and get those colors to move a little bit. Okay, so now really the key here is just to let this dry. Sometimes I will go through and use the heat gun to speed up that drying process, but because I've heat embossed the butterfly in there, it will take that embossing powder and remelt it, and it'll just turn into a big old mess. So there's a hint for you. You don't want to do that. I am going to grab some more Coastal Cabana though and see what we can't get done here. I want this just to be a little more vibrant. There we go. And then once it dries, it will be, there's not much here. It'll be a little brighter. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to let this sit and dry, but I think it looks pretty cool just like that. Right? Actually, I just had a thought, and I'm going to take that aqua painter and I've dabbed it into that Coastal Cabana color. And you see how I'm just, I'm tapping my aqua painter and getting it to leave flicks of color there. I don't know how well you can see those, but it is. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside to dry, and we're going to go ahead and move on. I've got one that I already started. Okay, so here is the one that I went ahead and I've let dry. And again, it's the same color combination. This one's just dry. So I've got the Daffodil Delight, the Strawberry Slush, and the Coastal Cabana in there. And I really love this look. And look at how that butterfly pops out of there. Just really, really pretty. I love it. So let's go ahead and finish this card. I've got this watercolored portion, and I have a piece of Coastal Cabana. It's a Coastal Cabana card, and it's cut the long way. I went ahead and put a strip of washi tape on there just as a contrast piece, and that is going to sit just below where this is going to sit. And I like how that dark kind of contrasts with all these fruity colors. I'm going to call them, that's a good word, fruity colors. Okay, so we've got this, and then I think I'm just going to keep this super simple. So I've got a strip of cardstock here, and it's just a 1/2-inch strip, and I have the Happy Birthday to You sentiment from Cycle Celebration. This is one of the sets that is going to retire June 2nd. So I'm just going to stamp the Happy Birthday to You on this little strip. And you know what, just so you guys know, these little strips, I have a whole slew of them from when I'm cutting cards out. A lot of times when I cut a card front out, it ends up that I end up with a 1/2-inch of cardstock. So I just save those in a big pile, and they're perfect for little skinny sentiments like this. So we're going to ink this up with some Memento ink and stamp that on our little piece here. Hopefully I stamped that straight. I think I did. Woohoo! Pretty good. So, if I do say so myself. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and put this in a flag. I'm going to trim those ends off into a flag. Yep, I think that's going to work. Okay. Okay, so now I want to adhere this down to my card front, but I want to put some dimension behind it. So what I've got here is just a piece of fun foam to act as Stampin' Dimensionals. I could use Stampin' Dimensionals all over, but because the watercolor paper gets a little bit warped in the whole process of this, I find that the fun foam is much, much sturdier and holds on, and I think the card will hold up in the mail better. So I do like to use the fast fuse, and I find when putting the fast fuse onto the fun foam is if I use a really light hand, if I'm not pressing real hard into the fun foam, it seems to work the best. So again, just a real light hand, barely touching that, and that makes that nice and sticky. I'll flip that over, and because the fun foam is nice and thick, like a Stampin' Dimensional, and probably a little more heavy duty, it helps pull that out of its warped shape. So I really, really do like using this. And again, I'm going to use some fast fuse on the back side. There. Okay. I know it's sticky enough now to stick on here. So I'm just going to lay this on top, like so. Okay. I think that looks great. And then we're going to put the sentiment on up here, and I'm going to actually use some Stampin' Dimensionals for that, the real kind. I'm going to throw this on here, like that. Looks good. I think this just needs a couple, something bright. I think it needs a couple sequins. So here's some in color sequins, also on the retired list, and I'm going to attach those to my card with a couple of dots of Tombow, and I am using this fine line applicator for my multi-purpose glue because it is more precision and it doesn't clog. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a couple of dots, little teeny tiny dots of glue where I'm going to want those sequins to go. And then I do have this quick stick that works great for picking up these sequins. So let me shake this up and see if I can find a couple more in colors I like. There we go. We'll use this to smush them in there. And let's add just a couple more. So let's add one there, maybe one here. There we go. These colors work perfect with the card that I've made. Oops. There. Alrighty. I think I got it. Okay, so there is today's card, and oops, here's what I like about that fine line applicator is the there's a little tube or a little end that goes in there just so it doesn't clog. So it does work great. Alright, well there's the card for today. I hope that you have learned something new, a new technique here, and don't be afraid to give that a try with your heat embossing and the resist of the watercolor. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to give me a thumbs up on YouTube so that they know you want to see more from me. And if there's anything that you're interested in, I've put links down below in the YouTube description, but you can also find those things over on my blog, which is stamped-silly.com. And don't forget to look for me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and of course, Pinterest. Alright, that's all I've got for you, so thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time. Thanks.